Have you ever been coding and needed to keep track of a bunch of related things? Like the top 5 scores in a game or a list of students in a class. You probably realize pretty quickly that it can get messy. Well, that's exactly where arrays come in. They are a super powerful, absolutely essential tool in Java. And today, we're going to break down exactly how they work from the ground up.
All right, so here's the plan. We're going to start with the problem arrays we're designed to solve. Then, we'll dive into what arrays actually are and the rules for using them. We'll pay special attention to indexes. After that, we'll look at a more flexible way to create arrays. And finally, the real fun begins when we combine them with loops to do some seriously efficient work.
So let's just start by setting the scene. Imagine you need to store a list of numbers. Could be anything. Student scores, prices, you name it. How would you even begin to do that in your code? Well, on the left here, you've got what I call the brute force method. Just make a new variable for every single item. I mean, sure, it might work for 4 numbers, but can you imagine doing that for 100 or 1,000? It would be a complete nightmare. But then, look to the right. See how clean that is? That's the elegant solution, an array. One single variable that holds our entire collection of data. And this is exactly the kind of mess that arrays were created to clean up. They give us a really structured, simple way to handle groups of related information. So what is an array, really? The best way to think about it is like an egg carton, right? It's a container that holds a specific number of things. And this is super important. All those things have to be the same type. You can't just shove a grapefruit into an egg slot. It's the same in Java. You can have an array of numbers or an array of text, but you can't mix and match. And what's really cool is how this works in the computer's memory. When you create an array, you're basically telling the computer, hey, set aside a row of connected boxes for my data. It's one continuous block, with each little box ready to hold a single value. Okay, so we've got our data stored neatly in these boxes. That's great, but how do we get a specific piece of data back out? This is where we get to the single most important concept about arrays, the index. Every single box in our array gets its own unique address, and we call that address an index. You can think of it like a house number on a street. It tells the computer exactly which box to go to. All right, now listen up, because this is the golden rule of arrays. Seriously, this is the thing you absolutely have to burn into your brain for any exam or technical interview. Indexes always start at 0. The very first item is at index 0, the second is at index 1, and it goes from there. It's a little weird at first, but it's just the way computers count things. So how do we use this index in our code? It's pretty simple. You just use the name of the array followed by the index you want inside square brackets. So this line of code right here is telling the computer, go to the nums array, find the item at index 1, and print it out. And this visual shows you exactly what happens. The code nums sub 1 is like a direct command. The computer doesn't have to search. It just goes straight to the box with the address 1. And what's inside that box? The number 7. So that's exactly what pops up on the screen. Simple as that. Getting data is one thing, but what if you need to change it? Well, it turns out the logic is exactly the same. We use the index in those square brackets to target the exact box we want to modify, and then we just use the equal sign to give it a new value. And just like that, we've updated our array. We've gone directly to index 1 and swapped out the old value. The 7 is gone, and now a 6 is sitting in its place. The array has been changed. Okay, let's keep building on this. That first way of making an array was perfect when we knew all our values right from the start. But what if you don't? What if you need to create the container first and then fill it up with data later? This syntax is how we do it. The keyword here is new. It tells Java, hey, I need you to build me a brand new integer array. And then inside the square brackets, we tell it exactly how many boxes we're going to need. In this case, 4. So what does Java put inside these freshly made empty boxes? It doesn't leave them empty. To be safe, it fills them with a default value. And for an array of integers, that default value is always 0. Every single spot gets a 0 to start. And from this point on, it's business as usual. We can now go through and populate our array, one box at a time, using the index to tell the computer exactly where each new piece of data should go. Okay, now we get to the part where it all comes together. This is the real magic. Arrays are fantastic for storing stuff, but when you pair them with loops, that's when they become a powerhouse for processing massive amounts of data with very little code. So let's say we want to print out every single value in our array. We could do it like this. Just write a print statement for each one. But you can see how repetitive and clunky this is. Imagine if our array had 1,000 elements. No way we're doing that. We are literally doing the exact same thing over and over again. And we're just changing one little number each time. That kind of pattern is a huge clue in programming that tells you there's got to be a smarter, more efficient way to get this done. And that smarter way is the for loop. This is just beautiful. Look how compact it is. We create a little counter variable, let's call it I, and we start it at 0. We tell the loop to keep running as long as I is less than 4. And after every single run, we just add 1 to I. The genius part is inside the loop. We use that I variable as the index for our array. Let's just walk through it. First time through, I is 0, so it prints nums of 0. Then the loop runs again, I becomes 1, so it prints nums of 1. It keeps doing this until I becomes 4. At that point, the condition I less than 4 is no longer true, so the loop just stops. All our values are printed with just 3 lines of code. It's so powerful. So here's the big takeaway. Arrays give us a way to organize our data, and loops give us a way to process that data efficiently. The two of them together are a foundational 1-2 punch in programming. We've just scratched the surface with numbers, but think about it. What else could you do with this? Manage a list of usernames, analyze scientific measurements, build an inventory system for a game? The possibilities are endless.